Here we go.
Do it. Mm.
Okay, cool.
Here we go.
Hello, Coffiners. Welcome back to another episode of Coffin Talkin', where we unravel the mysteries, embrace the peculiar, and find humor in the unconventional world of funerals and death. I'm Holly. I'm here with Frank.
The newest employee, Holly, just so you remember, and just so you don't forget. And by the way, I still am waiting for that weekly paycheck.
Yeah, keep waiting.
All right, whatever. At least you're honest. You're honest about it. That's okay. All right, great. Well, it's great to see you. How's your week been?
It was good. We got home from our trip to California, and the trip was so nice.
Good.
It was just so nice to be away from responsibilities.
Yeah, that is nice, isn't it? Just to break away for a little bit.
And say, sorry, I can't work.
Isn't it kind of interesting when you go on vacation and all of a sudden you just realize how much responsibility you do have that you don't have to worry about?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's a true vacation. Me, on the other hand, I have a hard time breaking. If I sold the business and got rid of the business, then I would probably enjoy myself a lot better when I'm away from it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I think I would still be working there, but I just wouldn't have the responsibility of it. And so I don't know. I kind of like the idea. I feel a little envious of those individuals that can actually break away for a little while.
They can say, hey, I'm out of office.
Yeah, and just truly enjoy themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you had fun. I'm glad you're safe.
Yeah. It was it was really nice.
And we got back Nelson and Wayward One.
Wayward
One. What are you naming her? Oh,
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. No, I remember maybe. What's the other one? Sure Thing. Yeah, so Nelson and Sure Thing are okay. The garden's doing
Nelson
well.
didn't kill her.
And the garden's doing well?
Yep, the garden's doing well.
Good.
Our berries are suffering a little bit because it got really hot really fast. Yeah, we have a strawberry and a blackberry bush.
Oh.
And both of them are struggling, but I think they're going to come back.
Well.
But, yeah. That's our week. Other than that, I'm not kidding. We got back on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday were probably two of the most stressful days ever.
Trying to get things caught up. Having to travel for work, and then having the last round of interviews for this job. And how's that going, by the way? I haven't talked to you about that job interview. Is it
well, you see, it's because I called you to tell you about the second interview.
Yes.
And you said, why are you telling me this? Just tell me when you get the job.
Hold on.
Dad doesn't want to know about this.
Wait. Okay, yeah, I do kind of vaguely remember that conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So have you heard any updates then or no?
So the third interview was on Friday, and that's the last round. And so they will let me know within a week and a half, they said.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So I'll know for better or worse.
Good.
But at least I don't have another interview looming over my head.
Mm-hmm.
Which is
great.
That is
good news. Yep. Great news. Very good news. Good. I'm glad that's working out for you.
How was your week?
Can I just say it was there?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. Good.
It was there.
It was there. I do have another. Remember the episode I told you I was teasing you with? Remember?
Yes.
Do you remember that? So another occurrence happened with the same family. Oh. And so, yes, it's pushed the episode to be a little more detailed than what I had expected initially.
Wow. So there's a part 2 now.
But it will be merged with part 1, so no one will know the difference. It's all just one episode.
But don't worry, we'll tell you. We'll stop the whole flow of the story and say, okay, now listen up. This is what you weren't supposed to know, but now you know.
This is where the initial one was going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll give you about 30 seconds of silence
No, that's too long. That's way too long. Well, let's go 3. 3 seconds of silence, which feels like 30 seconds of silence, and then we'll continue.
Great. We'll work out the terms, but
There you go.
yeah, be excited for that one, Puffners.
Yeah. In about, probably, it might be the week after the Fona funeral.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're well into June. It's ridiculously hot there, I've heard.
Oh my gosh,
I've seen.
Incredible hot. And I don't know if it's just me getting wimpier and wimpier, but this summer seems different compared to the other heat.
Yeah.
I've been able to function fairly well in the other heat, but this year has been different for me. It's really pulled me down. So I don't know if it's...
I don't know what it is, but yeah, the heat with the suddenly heating up to the 90s where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
The past couple of days, I've just been zapped.
Yeah, and it's amazing.
And it's not even that I spend that much time outside. You spend way more time outside than I do, but just I feel like even just having it hotter, matters, and it affects your body in different ways. Ugh.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You need one of those neck fans that Mom has.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one? Do you wear it?
It's not a neck fan. It's a neck. You put water in it and then you drench it. It's a cloth thing, and you can put it around your neck, and the and the moisture keeps your neck cool.
That's kind of nice.
Yeah. And if you like
that,
I do. If you like drips of water down your back.
Do you like that?
I don't mind it.
Fantastic.
I don't mind it. Yeah, that's what I think. Fantastic. This is working really well.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Kind of like Chinese water torture, just drip, drip, drip. So yeah, sorry you have to deal with that.
Yeah, well, that's okay. There is the heat. It always comes this time of year. It's just a matter of this year just feels different to me. It's okay.
That's no fun. Nope. But let's just jump in and let's be frank.
Thanks, Holly. Today's story I want to tell you about is it's not a heart wrencher.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a scary one. It's a happening one. It's about what took place.
Okay.
So imagine, if you will, a young mother with a baby in her arms coming through the door. She's got in one of the free hands a little 5 or 6 year old boy, and then in his hand is being held a little 3-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
So she has 3 children coming in to take care of a husband that passed away that morning. Oh. By the way, happy Father's Day.
Oh.
So that morning they had passed. Well, no, I think it was the day before. They come in that morning to actually take care of his funeral arrangements. And this mother, trying to be just as brave as she possibly could not help but cry. And who would blame her? Almost every other sentence when she was talking about her husband. So as I'm trying to pay attention to what she's telling me, my focus goes to the 5-year-old or 6-year-old. I can't remember the age, but young. I want to say maybe it was 6 because of some of the activities that we did. So I looked at him and I just kind of stared at him, and he just kind of stared at me as I was listening to the mother talk. And then after she finished and we felt like we were okay with the services and so forth, what was to be planned, I just focused my attention on him. Now, let me ask you, Holly, I'm just going to ask point blank. Do you think funerals are for children?
No.
You don't think children should be involved with funerals at all?
Well, I mean, they can attend.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Do you think it's wrong for parents to hold their children away from a funeral?
I don't think it's wrong. I think that it opens up a lot of questions, and if you're not ready for the questions, like if you don't think that they can handle the answers to the questions that they're going to ask, then it probably isn't a good place for them.
Okay. So my belief is that no one should be kept from a funeral. I think everyone should have the opportunity to go to the funeral regardless of age if they want to go. So that in mind, I looked at this young man and I said, hey, and I won't give you his name. I remember it vividly as though it were yesterday. But I remembered looking at him and thinking, okay, so now he's got to realize, and maybe he doesn't, but that now that his father has passed away, he's probably going to be looked upon and relied upon more heavily by the mother to handle things that she's going to need help with. And it doesn't matter what those items are. I just think his life is going to change.
Definitely.
Because of what has, I mean, it happened in my own life
Mm-hmm.
because of what had transpired. So I'm going ahead and I'm taking care of all of the information that this wife is giving me. And we've got the obituary organized. We've got times for viewing and services set aside. And the night of the viewing, I asked the wife if it would be okay if I just took him aside for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
A little while. And she said, oh, that would be fine. And now today, I probably would have been told no, because there just isn't the same type of trust there was years ago. So I took him into another room and I said, hey, can you tell me a little bit about your father? What do you remember about your dad? And in his sweet little voice, he said, well, he would read with me. He would play games with me. I was, what did he call himself? I was the heaver. And I said, what does that mean? He would heave me onto his shoulders. So I became his heaver. That's why I'm thinking he was 6, because this was a pretty good conversation. And he said, but now things are different. My mom's crying all the time.
Oh.
She's crying a lot. And I said, do you know why? And he said, because my dad's gone. And I said, yes. Do you know what it means to be gone? And he said that he has died. And I said, do you think he's coming back? No, he won't be coming back. And I said, how does that make you feel? Oh, sad for my mom. And, because apparently that he could witness the reaction or the relationship he and his father and his mother had. And so he's recognizing, and he says, all I can do is put my little hand on her face. Can you just picture that? He said, all I can do is put my little hand on her. Now, he didn't say little hand. All I can do is put my hand on her face.
Mm-hmm.
Just look at her. And I said, okay, well, let's do something for your dad. What would you like to do? And he said, I don't know. Is there anything I can do? And I said, let's draw him a picture. So in this little room together, we're drawing pictures. And he's trying to show me a picture that he's drawing of he and his dad. Mm-hmm. And the picture that he chose to draw was he and his dad flying a kite. And I said, oh my gosh, that's a cool picture. Should we color it? And so he took the crayons that I had and I put them on the table and he started coloring this picture. And so we were just talking, never looking at each other, just talking while, and you know how kids are, right? When they're busy doing something, they'll still communicate with you, but they're busy focused on whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, that picture's looking great. And he goes, I'm going to avoid the pink, because he didn't like pink. So, just little things like that. And so he went on and continued painting or coloring this picture. And finally it was done. And I said, oh my gosh, that is beautiful. And now we're getting close to the time of where the viewing was about to wind down. And I said, hey, did you have enough time to spend with your dad? And he said, no, I'd like to go do that now. I said, do me a favor. And I took his picture and I just folded it once. And I said, and I want you to put on the outside, to dad from, and then I want you to put your name there. And he goes, you want me to give this to my dad? I said, I think he would love this picture. Mm-hmm. So I walked with him into the viewing room, and there was quite a few people there, but they had all kind of started to thin out and leave. And I went on ahead and I held him up just briefly, and he squirmed just a little bit. So I put a chair in front of the casket so where he could climb up onto the chair. And then he just put that picture right on top of his dad's hands. Oh. And I looked at that and I go, very nicely done. That is your dad. I'm telling you, is going to love this picture. So the mother whispered, or her mouth, she mouthed to me, thank you. And when they would decide, after a couple of minutes, they left the mortuary and went home. And I started cleaning things up and then just looking and thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to this mother and her 3 children? Mm-hmm. Under the age of 5 or 6. And so, you get into that frame of mind and you just you can't dwell on it too long because it can be maddening.
Yeah.
And then you always wonder why the death occurred. And that happens a lot anyway. But I went on ahead. I ended up going home. The next day, we were meeting at the church for the services, and it was a more modern church. I'm going to put it that way. And I don't know exactly, and you'll understand here in just a moment, but the church was beautiful. And we had a limousine pick up the mother and the 3 children, and it sat 8. So she had other people riding with her in the car. So they finally arrived, and they came out, and the last one to come out of that car was that little boy. And I could see that he was just not thinking about childhood things.
Yeah.
And if that makes sense to you, he could have been thinking about, I don't know, what am I going to do now with my mom? She's still crying all the time. I don't know what to do for her. I don't know how to help her. And, then he takes the hand of his younger brother, and they walk into the mortuary or into the chapel and church. We went on ahead and did again, I took him to the side, and I had some string with me, and I said, would you mind helping me do a weaved bracelet? And he goes, what's that? And so we did a little loop on the end of one of the strings, and then we just kind of braided them around. And I think we both put like 4 colors onto the thing and then tied it at the end where there's a little loop on the end, and you can tie the string in the middle and then make it as big or as small as you need to.
Yeah.
And so you know what I'm talking about. And I said, this is cool. What colors did your dad like? And for a young man, these are the colors he said: orange and black, some green.
Some green.
And I thought, oh my gosh, Halloween.
Yeah.
I love Halloween.
All right.
That's right. Okay, we can do that. And so I just grabbed some orange and black and some green thread, and I just showed him how to do it. And we just kind of, and it was one of those moments where you could actually slowly but surely teach a young man or a young woman how to do the braiding process, sit back and watch them do it, and then them to look at you with inquisitive eyes saying, am I doing this right? And then you go right back and you start doing it again.
Yeah.
And so that's what had happened with him for a couple of times. And he said, so what are we going to do with this now? I said, this is yours. You're going to put this on your wrist, and I'm going to help you attach it. And every time you look at this, you're going to think of your dad. And so he said, oh, wow, can I do one for mom?
Oh.
Can I do one for my brother? So here the viewing was taking place. Let's say the service started at 11. They were there at 9. And they were going ahead and they were actually going through the process of the viewing by themselves, trying to prepare themselves for what was about to take place as far as the burial and so forth. And so they didn't take very long to make, and be in total honesty, but they were nice to keep just as a remembrance. So we did 3 more quickly, and all the same colors, so there would be no arguments or fights. And we got the bracelets on the mother and the other brother, and then the baby. We didn't do anything for the baby, but he did the 3rd one for his father. And so he put that on his father's fingers. And then he just looked at me and he gave the biggest smile ever. And I thought, okay, finally, this kid's finally going to start coming around. He's going to start recognizing what has taken place and what it is that can happen for the next couple of minutes. So when the viewing was happening, he looked at me and he goes, hey, I need to use the restroom. I said, oh, okay. Let me just show you where it is. Well, truth is, I need to use the restroom too. So I said, just follow me. And so I started my way to the restroom. I looked behind me as I got to the door. He wasn't there. And I said, well, what happened to him? Where did he take off to? So I stepped into the restroom, decided I'd go ahead and use the restroom. And while I'm in the restroom itself, something happened that I had never experienced before. The lights went out.
Oh.
And so
was it the motion activated ones?
Yes. It was the first time I had ever experienced it. And so I thought, oh my gosh, I said, oh my gosh, please don't tell me we have a power outage. That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
And so I just reached over to the light and the thing kicked on. I go, what the? So I stood there waiting and the lights went out again and I raised my hands and the lights went on.
yeah.
And I thought, oh my gosh, that is the coolest thing ever. Because this was the first experience that I had had with that.
Right.
And so as I was leaving the restroom, I opened the door and there stood this little boy. And I go, oh, you found it? And he goes, yeah, my mom told me I had to hurry. And I said, oh, okay. So I said, well, I opened the door, sat kind of stood in a little bit of an alcove. And I thought to myself, I want to see what his reaction is going to be.
Yeah.
This thing going
To the
off.
lights.
Yeah. And so as I'm standing there waiting, I said, hey, I'm still in the restroom. Just wanting you to know. I said, I'm not going to leave for a minute or two. I just wanted you to know that I was here. And so 2 or 3 minutes went by. He was in a stall. And lo and behold, the lights went out.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, Frank, are you still here? And I was totally quiet.
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden I hear him say, oh God. And then I went like this. At about the same time, I raised my hand to where he said, oh God, and the lights came on.
Uh-huh.
And he goes, I knew it. And he just kept, so he did what his business was. And I smiled and I just kind of left the restroom, him not probably knowing any different
Right.
about what took place. And so I walked back and they had a nice funeral. And there were when people were going to funerals, this was a very well attended one, probably 200, maybe 300 people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remembered thinking, and then I saw, as I was getting ready to close the casket, turned around, and then I saw this little body with little legs running into the chapel, and getting seated by his mother. And I just closed the casket, turned around, looked at him and smiled and waved. And he did his little wave back and went to the back. And I just sat there and waited for the service to end. Well, as the course of the service took place, it's one of those items and one of those things where people would say things that it's very interesting. And every time I hear a funeral like this, I always wonder, man, I wonder if I'd have been friends with this guy, or it would have been nice to know this man.
Yeah.
So that's what was going through my mind. And I got ready to go back out into the foyer after the final prayer was said. I walked up to the casket and I was pulling the casket from the chapel and wheeling it to the outside to be placed in the car. And I did what called the pallbearers up. Pallbearers helped me. We put the casket in the car, into the hearse, and I walked back into the church. And I remembered looking over, kind of thinking, well, where's this little boy? Where did he go? And so I'm looking for him, because now not only am I looking for him, but his mother's looking for him as well. And she just said, Frank, have you seen? So I said, no, but I'm looking for him right now. And she said, when you find him, please tell him we need to go. Have him make his way to the car so we can get to the cemetery. And so I come around the corner, and there he is. He's there standing and talking with a friend of his, and about the same age. And the guy goes, "Oh, I gotta go use the restroom to know where it's at." And he goes, "Yes, I do." And he points down the hallway to where it's at. And he said, "It's down that way, almost to the end on this side." And so he's just motioning to the left side, but he says to this side. And he says, "Okay, I got to go." And he goes, "Oh, by the way, listen, it's a church. So if the lights go out, just say a quick prayer and the lights will come back on."
Oh my gosh. It's a church. It's fine. Don't be scared.
So if the lights go off, just say a quick prayer and the lights will come back on. Oh my God. So I just kind of smiled and I laughed and I said, "Hey, bud, your mom's waiting for you in the car."
Oh,
and I just kind of smiled as I was watching him go to the door. That's what he thought. Turn the lights back on.
Yeah.
The prayer to God to allow him to see in the restroom once again. So,
oh my gosh, that's
anyway,
so funny.
That is the story. It's not much of anything really, excepting a little boy's experience in the chapel on a day of funeral for his father, and recognizing that sometimes we should probably say prayer for enlightenment, not only in times of trial, but whenever we truly need to have that second voice to help bolster our own spirits, our own attitudes.
Oh
And
man.
prayer plays an important part, whether you think that the light turns on or not. After you say
Yeah.
a prayer, and trust me, the light is turning on. You just may not see it immediately, but
Right.
it is turning on. And so I just want you to, that's kind of my testimony and faith regarding prayer, but it was emulated perfectly in this little boy's comment to his friend.
That's so
So
cute.
if you're
In
in
church.
the if you're in the restroom and the lights go out, remember you're in a church, say a prayer, the lights will come
God
back
will
on.
turn them back on. It's his house anyways, so he's probably turned them off, but he just didn't know you were in the bathroom.
Oh, that's right. So anyway, that's that. What do you think of that story, Holly?
That's hilarious.
Oh,
Oh
that
my
little
gosh.
boy. And I'm okay. I'm going to be honest with you about something, and I'll continue with this story in the book. And the story goes a little bit longer, but he reached out to me about 7 years later, and
Seriously.
and told me everything that he remembered experiencing about his father's passing.
Did he remember the bathroom incident?
He did. Yeah,
Really?
he
Did
did.
you
And
ruin it and tell him that it wasn't God and it was you?
no, we both laughed about it because I think he realized at the time that it was probably motion activated.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure.
the kid, it was a teenager, 13 years old, when he reached back out to me. And
Right.
the thing that he remembered the most that he still has is that bracelet.
Really?
He still has his orange, black, and green bracelet.
Oh my gosh.
He says, so I think of my dad every day when I look at it. He said,
He still wears it.
he does. I shower with this. I sleep with it. Yes. And so that was one of the most simple things that could have ever been done
Right.
for him to remember his father. And yet it has played an
Sticks.
important role in the actual fact of remembering his father.
I'm so glad that you suggested it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you never know what will trigger a family member. But I'm just telling you, coffiners, and I hope you've enjoyed this story, but I just want you to realize that don't put limits on kids.
Yeah.
I think they're a little more resilient than what you may think. And so
That's true.
even when people, right to this day, just this last week, I suggested that some of the grandchildren write notes to the person that's passed away and then when they come in to see him, just place them on his chest, under his hands, whatever the case might be, because that's a final tribute or sentiment that could go with him or her.
Yeah. And I'm sure it kind of helps them understand what's happened and process things a bit more.
Yeah. I think whatever helps in that transition period would be a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yep. It is a good thing.
Wow.
So just remembering some of those stories. And, he was telling me some of the things that he had experienced and had remembered. But I was listening to him thinking, God, I don't remember that. Do you know what I mean? I don't remember that. And who knows to say that I was even part of that? Maybe I wasn't. Maybe that's the impressions and the feelings he was receiving while he was actually in attendance at his dad's funeral.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah. But, he did, yeah. Anyway, so I can finish out that story with the written aspect of it. But yeah, things went pretty well with him and his mother and brothers. So,
good.
Yeah, no real problems that he was aware of, and still has nightmares that he's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was a good experience for him to actually, and I was actually surprised he had to quiz me to get me to remember him.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, he said, "Is this Mr. Lambert?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, and his first comment was, "Hi, this is," and he gave me his name, and I'm just thinking to myself, okay.
I don't know. Yeah. Sure. Hi.
I said, "Can you help me a little bit? How do I know you? Why are you calling me?"
Right. Did he call you?
He called.
Oh,
Yeah, he
wow.
called. Yeah, he called. And so, because they were living in another state.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I don't know if it was through funeral directors' listings or boards or whatever, he called.
Maybe they
he was
still had
able
a
to
business
find
card or something.
It could be. He was able to find me. And so,
wow, I'm glad he did.
Yeah, me too, actually. And those are the little stories that I like at the end where you can just say, well, you know what, you had a little bit of an impact on this individual and
Yeah.
has maybe helped them out to some degree. But Yeah.
Just the tiniest bit of closure.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, and that's what it is, and that's what it turns out to be and should be.
Yeah, definitely.
So, anyway, that was that story, and I know it may not seem like much to the coffiners, but I will tell you this, and I like stories like this because when we receive notes in for Phone a Funeral, some people say, I know you may not want to share this on your podcast, but this is what happened. It's not extravagant or anything like that. I'm
Right.
just letting you know that little stories like this mean a lot to me. And so when you send stories in like that, we have one that was just submitted, I believe, that the lady was very apprehensive. It's nothing major. It's nothing great or grandiose. But it's still something that happened that I liken it to the deceased. And so it's important to know that it doesn't have to be. I mean,
yeah, and
super
even
spiritual.
stories.
Go ahead.
Even stories like this, they kind of just soften death.
You're right.
And while there's always tragedy around death, it just makes it better where they were able to find closure, or they were able to connect with their father one more time, or that was such a sweet experience that he was able to have, you know?
I do.
And so don't hesitate to send in anything that you're thinking of.
I agree. And and I think that's one of the things that I get most comments on, me personally, is that I have stories, but I don't want to share them because it's nothing earth moving.
Right.
I said, you mean it happened in a cemetery? No, I'm kidding.
You mean when you fell?
Earth moving, Holly.
Oh,
Earth
I got
moving.
it.
Okay. So no,
Let
but
me say it again. Earth moving.
So no, I always tell them, I say, I love stories that you experienced that tell you about a loved one being nearby. Right. Those are the stories. It doesn't matter the final outcome or what may have happened. It's just interesting to me, the things you pick up on that tell you that life continues.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is the most important.
Or
if anything, this podcast
peace.
What's that?
Or that you can even have peace around something like this.
Right. And so that's what I'm thinking. If that can bring that closure to anyone else, or even inspire them to share their story, there's so much that you could learn from sharing stories with other people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why we do this, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. Holly, do you have any other comments or concerns about this story?
No, I guess on that note, if you are wanting to share a story, email us at letsbefrank@coffintalkin.com. You can also find us on YouTube at Coffin Talkin Podcast, Instagram at Coffin Talkin. We're everywhere. Send us a DM, send us a message. We'd love to hear from you, and we will talk to you with you next week.
Hold on, Holly. Don't hang up yet.
Okay.
There is one other comment that I heard this last week. They love the Instagram posts. But they want to know why the cats aren't on the Instagram post. And
Are you serious? Someone wanted that?
Yes. And
I have been thinking about it for the longest time.
Okay. You need to do it. Because I looked at her and I said, seriously? Everything else that goes on the podcast, really? You want the cats?
Don't downplay the cats. Coffiners, you've just opened a door you didn't want open. And be spammed with cats.
Oh boy! I guess we're gonna see some Nelson and some and some Sure Thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
Check out the Instagram this week. There will be a cat post at some point. Keep you on your toes.
Since Holly's in charge of it, she's all over it now. Okay.
Your eyes out.
I just thought I had to share that with you because
oh my gosh.
For someone to, and I looked seriously though, the time and effort that we put into these podcasts and the simplest things, we want to see pictures of the cat. What? You don't have any questions about the podcast, the episode? Where's the cat? Okay. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll mention it to the one who posts the Instagram, and then she can go ahead and work on that for you.
Can you blame them? They're so sweet. Yeah, you'll see soon enough, Coffiners.
Hold it. Did you name the cat soon enough now? Or is it... Okay, you'll
Might
see
as
soon.
well have.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right. Well, now thank you
There
for
you go.
joining us, and we will talk with you next week.
Bye, Coffiners.
Bye.
Have a great week. Bye.